Hi, I'm John Hibbins, and this is the Metaverse Show. You can find us on Roomkey, YouTube, and your favourite podcast provider. This is episode 3. And today I'm joined by my co-host, Anthony Smith.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And our special guest, Kyle Riesenbeck.
Hello.
I'm terrible at pronouncing your surname. Let me nip over here. It's terrible. Pronounce your surname for me, Kyle.
So it's Riesenbeck. It's Riesenbeck. Yes, I was told that reason in German means large or giant, and then Beck means, well, whatever you want it to mean.
Well, welcome to the show, Carl. I don't know you as Kyle normally. I mean, when I first, I don't know, this is going back some time. It was Revvr Kyle, where I first became aware of you, Kyle. Do you want to let the audience know what that was all about?
Absolutely. So yes, I was Reverend Kyle, your minister of immersive technology, I guess you could say. It was a moniker that I just took and placed upon myself. I did actually get ordained as a minister to perform a wedding for a friend of mine. Yeah, so I really am actually an ordained minister, in the legal sense. And so somebody told me a long time ago that if you're going to try to be a personality, that you need to have a name that people are going to remember. And boy, howdy, everybody did remember it. It worked. And people call me Rev.
Oh, you just lost your audio. Is that your earpods disconnecting, Carl? Anthony, you hearing? Oh, we've lost Kyle.
Yeah, my best guess is his network disconnected.
Oh, that's a good start. Well, he'll be back soon. Let's pause for a minute while we're waiting for Kyle. The beauty of technology, eh? Just give him a second to come back. Hello, audience. I will unsilent. Oh, there we go. He's back. Hello, Kyle. Come on back to the main stage. Kyle? He's trying to get his earphones plugged back in, etc. How are we doing, Kyle? Where have you gone? Oh, this is how awesome live recording is as well. It's all real time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I believe that was the internet trolls messing with me. As I joke about on my own shows, I'm actually just tethered to the Wi-Fi at the Taco Bell down the street. So it's a little spotty in places. So I'll try to stay still so that doesn't happen again.
No problem, Carl.
Yeah. So I don't even remember what the question was.
How did Reverend Carl come around?
Right. So in terms of Reverend Kyle, that was my moniker for the Rev VR Podcast, and the Rev VR Podcast originally came from the very, very, very beginnings of this generation of VR. I don't want to say that I've gone back into the 90s or 80s or whatever, but yeah, I started doing my podcast in like 2013, and out of the sheer vacuous hole that existed, there was no podcast at the time, and so I started one, the Rev VR Podcast, doing basically exactly what you're doing right now, which is interviewing the movers and shakers of the current industry. And and people just knew me as Rev Kyle, Reverend Kyle. Like my dad always says, you can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
150 episodes, Rev. That's a lot.
It is.
I think I think probably to this day you're only beaten by one other person that I know of, who's just hit their thousands. So
Well,
fair enough.
you know, when you do 5 and 10 minute per episode, I could probably have multiplied mine by a couple dozen as well. But you know, I'm more for quality, not quantity. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I personally have been on your podcast twice. Thoroughly enjoyed conversations with you every time. In fact, even every time I bumped into you, I've really enjoyed your company. I've got a specific one that I think we need to talk about. I can't remember which OC it was. I can't remember which OC it was, but it was the one where they were doing room scale. Room scale is currently a massive hot topic. This is Space Pirate Arena. It's come up on the last two shows, I think. Why don't you tell
I
the
remember
story?
This was Oculus Connect 5. And yeah, we were all standing in line, anxiously awaiting to do the Dead and Buried Arena that Oculus was doing with some multicolored Oculus Quests, and it was very exciting. And I believe that you and I were in line with a few other folks, and we had a little bit of a challenge, you know, who could beat who, and I don't remember, John. Do you remember who won that challenge?
Well, Steve unfortunately isn't here tonight, but Steve was also there. Yeah, there were a whole bunch of us. Yeah, I think we had a bet. We had a bet that we would tweet publicly, all of us, on the losing team. Because I think, if I recall right, it was 4v4. Is that right?
I believe 4v4? So, yeah.
Yeah, so there's 4 people on each team, and the losing team would tweet publicly that they were the losers, and I can't remember exactly what the tweet was, but it was agreed beforehand, and sadly we lost by quite a significant margin. I think I had Revvr with us, Nick as well. Yeah, it was embarrassing. I'm going to blame occlusion. Every time I got near one of them boxes, controllers flew all over the place. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, it was early days of Quest as well. I mean, all this arena scale tracking stuff was early, but I can't really blame any of that. It's probably just skill. Wasn't that an awesome experience, though? And hard to find
really
since.
Yeah, no,
Quite
it really was. Yeah, it was a great experience. The whole concept of room scale is something that has been intriguing to me for quite a long time. I've done the Void numerous times. I have gone out and played in large yards with large guardians, and so the idea that Dead and Buried Arena was a possibility 2 years ago, or however long ago that was, I don't know. Time stopped having meaning to me in the last couple of years. But yeah, the idea that something like, and I know that you did discuss Space Pirate Arena in previous episodes of this show, and which I'm a big fan, by the way. I've watched every episode of this show so far, so fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I think Space Pirate Trainer. I think Space Pirate Trainer is a good solid game to evolve into a arena style experience, and I for one am very up and excited about that.
I think hopefully it opens the door to. I mean, large spaces are hard to find, right? But hopefully it opens the door. There were a couple of things I recall about the Dead and Buried that to this day are still probably quite mind-blowing and relevant. One is that it was the first time they showed pass-through, and what they had done in that demo is when you stood in the arena, you were using pass-through, and you could see in black and white the arena. And then the game sort of melted in. Is that a good description of it? It's sort of like overlaid from the top downwards. Can you remember?
I do, yeah. And it's funny now that you say that. I wonder because since that game never actually came out for public consumption, it was almost a perfect test bed for Oculus to kind of lab test several things at the same time. So you've got co-location, you've got pass-through, you've got arena scale, you've got large format guardian, it seems to me that gamifying these tests was brilliant. The more I think about it, wow.
Yeah. And I tell you another thing that I recall from that demo that was quite impressive. I mean, well, there were two other things that I recall extremely impressive. One was that they were using an iPad to show the crowd. So there was 4v4, and they had an iPad that was being tracked, and they were moving the iPad around, and that was viewing into the VR world. And I know that is, with Live and all the latest technologies, but then it was a real big thing. That was new as well. It was the first time I'd seen that happen.
I'm actually sort of upset that doesn't exist now. I would love, especially when I watch my children play Rec Room. A very regular thing that occurs in my home is that my children will play Rec Room with their cousins who are 2,700 miles away, and I would love to be able to walk around and see a camera perspective.
This is a real platform challenge for Facebook and others to do, right? Why isn't social just part of the platform? Why isn't multiplayer just part of the platform? Because fundamentally, you should be able to, either on your iPad, just peer into the world, because they've got the app, it's already installed, just allow you to peer into the world, right? It's like you say, just hold your iPad up and you can see them in the world with their avatar and playing the game. And the second is, why not allow that for anybody? If you're a streamer, or if you want to invite a friend to come and watch you play, why not allow somebody to stand next to you in the virtual world? What's the problem there? It's surely only them having the game and, rendering that point of view. I'm very surprised it's not part of the platform.
There are several aspects to it. I mean,
well, Live does that. I mean, Live does that today.
Well,
But having embedded Live, you put the Live SDK on, you put it against your character controller, you tell it a few basic things. This is my head, this is whatever objects they are, and away Live goes, and it can do exactly that. It can view from a different angle as a camera. It's just like Live, but the Oculus version.
Live is good. Live is very good. Live is not perfect, and I think that for Facebook to put something out for their platform that is dev friendly, that is, there's no privacy concerns, there's no bandwidth or performance challenges. I feel like it has to be perfect, and we're not quite there yet, but I see no reason why Facebook can't throw this out when they start to like actually right now would be a good time because of the kind of dip that everybody is seeing in the industry. It's kind of, this is the lull, or as I like to hope it is, a calm before the storm. But yes, now would be
summer, Kyle. Summer.
I know.
I mean, it's like I sell games, then summer's dead. It's just dead. You don't launch at this time unless you want to launch something that doesn't get involved in the crowds. You're doing it on purpose, not to be involved in the crowds. Launching for Sony, for instance, October, November, December is like, no, you just don't touch it as an indie, because their big their big stuff's all launched, and you just bury it. You're just hidden. You'll never get any exposure at all. But yeah, summer really quiet. But I think we're definitely in a lull before a storm. Do you feel the same?
I really do. I think that, I mean, I'm not concerned just because there's a small dip or kind of a downward slight trend. It's not this cliff. We're not falling off of a cliff. There's still plenty of things to be excited about, and a lot of future stuff that's going to come out that has already been either announced or highly anticipated. We just have to get over this little hump to get there. I'm not too concerned, but now would be a good time, I think, especially as kids are going back to school and that sort of stuff, that you could release, like a company like Facebook could release a huge, and I think they are kind of doing that with version 32 coming out and giving us a little bit more. You can see them building up to a crescendo of applicable features, but I don't know. I'd like to see Well, obviously, anybody who is in this industry would like to see more quicker. I mean, that's kind of the
Yeah.
mantra. Give me more and give it to me faster.
They haven't stopped though. I mean, like you just mentioned 34, 33, but a whole bunch of, every single version they're bringing out, they're bringing quite significant changes. I noticed that there was really good changes for gifting, which was a big complaint for a long period of time, that you just couldn't buy other people content. And now you can pretty much click a button and buy somebody content. That's awesome. But a really big change this week is that they launched their virtual office product, Horizons. What's it called? Horizons Workforce. I want to say it's Horizons Workforce, but their new virtual office. What do you think of that?
I will be fair here. I have not used it in a capacity to actually see the advantage of it. We have our own, at Upload we have our own virtual studio that does some of the same, co-location from across the planet type of thing, and I'm not. Just because I don't personally see the daily value of something doesn't mean that it doesn't have it. I think the right audience, and who knows, over time, maybe the value will increase for more people, that it will become a bigger product. But it's early adoption type of thing. I mean, my record right now is 6.5 hours in a headset. I can't imagine anybody doing a solid 8 or even more in a headset every day for a week for 52 weeks out of a year. Time will tell on that. My opinion is not as important as somebody who would be very, very eager to do such a thing.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of people would agree with you. What was your 8 hours? Was it different content, or was it one piece of content straight?
Yeah, right. I did a social experience. It was over 6 hours, not quite 7, and it was shared experience, social, movies, conversation, that sort of thing. It was, yeah. I had to sleep for quite a while afterwards. I have found that anytime you feel a little nauseous in VR, just take a nap, and it usually fixes things. At least for me personally.
Yeah, I'd start getting very tired after 2 hours ish of VR. It starts getting too tiring at that point. So I can, but I think on the Horizon Workforce, by the way, sorry, Workrooms is the product, which is now available for free on Quest, and you can check it out. I did check that out, and I thought it shows promise. I think what Facebook are good at sometimes is putting out stuff slightly early. Getting feedback, getting testing stuff. You can see the path they're on. You can imagine that at some point in the future it will be seamless, and there won't be a whole bunch of clicking and configuration to get it working. And really, they want the learning, and that's pretty admirable. Rather than waiting for a finished product, it's nice that, and they've been doing that for a long time. They've been testing various features and putting it out there for us to try as devs, including pass-through mode and stuff that recently has been allowed for devs to do. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool that they're at least making steps into that space and starting to prove it. I presume this is what came from Michael Abrash and his will to do this.
I'm in Seattle, Washington, and I am right down the road from FRL, the Facebook Reality Labs, or whatever it's called now. I mean, I drive past it, I don't know, once a week, or at least used to. And I always wonder, I was like, I wonder if I could just go and knock on the door, just be like, hey, can I come in and play? What do you guys got going on in there?
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Do you think it's a smorgasbord of craziness? Do you think we've got everything from, well, I mean, I can only but imagine. Yes, it is, isn't it? They've got all sorts of stuff to play with. I mean, if we go back 5 years to when they were showing more insight to that stuff, there was crazy stuff then, so God knows what they've got now, given the time. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It'd be really cool to be in that back room and seeing all the latest technology and the guides. Well, it's not long before we find out their next steps, because they've announced October's Oculus Connect, that's now known as Facebook Connect or something. But it's announced. What do you think we're going to get there?
I believe that we are going to get a lot of them, not in a bad way, but I think they're going to congratulate themselves on their successes. I believe that there is going to be a lot of shared success also, like, here are game studios and here are people who are doing well because us, Facebook, have, grown the industry, and all of that is very true.
Won't that be the ones that they've brought? It's like, these are the studios that did really well. Oh, and they're all in Facebook now. So that's pretty cool.
Right. Well, I would hope that there are a few out there that are still fighting the good fight. But
yeah. Oh, we've lost you again, Carl. Your audio's gone.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. You're back. Yep, you're back.
Oh, okay. Don't know what that is. Somebody must have kicked the Taco Bell router again. No, I think what's happening is that Facebook is going to do a lot of, like, bringing everybody up to speed. I would be very surprised, and this is me just trying to be pragmatic, not pessimistic. I would be surprised for us to hear an announcement of a new headset. I would be surprised to hear the announcement of any new hardware toys in general. I think that everything is going to be incremental things, or future way down the road. Look at what we've got going on. Like, here's the varifocal lenses that we've shown 3 times, and now here's the latest version, or here's the new pancake this, or the new eye tracking module, and here's this, and here's this, and here's a bunch of pictures of people in the lab wearing incremental updates to the hardware that we might put out soon. Then again, there's also the possibility that something like the Quest 2 Pro, a more enterprise focused headset, might be talked about. I mean, I could speculate until the cows come home, but honestly, Kinect, without it being this physical, tangible connection with other people in the community, it just kind of feels a little flat for me. And I think a lot of people who've been in the community for a while will also have that feeling of that interpersonal connectivity, that physical. So I know there's some level of irony there, because we've got virtual
quite a bit of irony.
Right.
Here we are, Carl. Hello.
Right. But there is still something about, breaking bread with someone and sharing a drink and toasting your glasses. So, I mean, I'm a little bittersweet about it, but I'll take it rather than nothing at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about their next steps. You've talked about Oculus Quest. Do you think there's need for a pro version of the Quest? What can be pro about it? So it's like, what can be pro about it that just doesn't qualify as, why not make a Quest 3 and forget the whole pro thing? I mean, slightly faster processor, Quest 3, eye tracking, Quest 3, color pass-through, Quest 3. It's like, why not just make the Quest 3?
Because I think that there needs to be an enterprise solution directly from Facebook. I believe that the idea that term enterprise adds a couple extra zeros to the end of a cost of a piece of hardware in exchange for the services that they offer you. And there's a need for that, because I have a feeling that because I used to work in the VR enterprise field. I used to develop for firms that would make software and VR stuff for businesses, so business to business. And I think that there is a deficit there from Facebook offering that type of thing, and it's a quick and easy way to get more money and more adoption, because suddenly you have companies, big name companies, that are showing that they're using VR, and that creates more mainstream adoption. So I think that is a successful business model that I think that they should implement, in my opinion.
Yes. But again, why couldn't there just be a business version of Quest 3 just as there is a business version of Quest 2. Is
There's
there really a demand for higher resolution, like much? I don't know. I'm not. Sam's in the room, so I'm sure he's biting at the bit to say something. But what actually would it be? What makes that really compelling for business that the Quest doesn't actually do? I mean, the Quest is relatively low price. It works well. Resolution's fine. Is it literally just resolution and horsepower?
It's not hardware at all. It has nothing to do with the hardware at all. They could change it to green and call it enterprise. It has nothing to do with the hardware. The business model is all about the service. Let me hold your hand, because people don't like the learning curve of a new hardware, a new piece of hardware, a new technology. They don't like that. They need to have somebody hold their hand. And I think that more than a hardware change, it's a service change.
Okay, so Oculus Business doing a really good job for any business, basically, and encouraging them to use their platform and tool set, and just being more serious about that is what you're really saying there.
That if I was Mark,
Sam is desperate to go. Come on up, Sam. I'll invite you up. You can get involved, because I think Sam has probably got unique insight into this. Give me a second. I'm going to move you to the stage. Just say yes, and then come and sit with us, Sam. You should be able to speak now if you unmute.
Hey, Kyle.
Welcome to the show again.
Sorry
Hey, Sam.
Sorry to butt in here. I just wanted to add, there is a load of Oculus for Business stuff already, and they have a platform and they have an MDM. It makes it super seamless and really easy for enterprise to adopt the Quest 2 or Quest. But then, similar solutions that are more customizable and more open are available from like Pico and Vive as well. But I just wanted to say,
what's the main difference there, Sam?
It's enterprise orientated, so there's no Facebook accounts. You can lock devices down.
Yeah.
You can set up and deploy apps across multiple devices at once. It's very IT procurement friendly, and
so
ultimately it's about kiosk modes and
buy in bulk, put them in a group, deploy to them in one go, lock them down for any other functionality, and it's all those type of things, along with account managers, and making that super seamless.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the thing I'd like to see for enterprise is just better straps, like it coming with the Elite strap or something like that, just to make it that bit more comfortable for longer use.
Yeah, I mean, it desperately does need a better strap. I've got the fortune of having both the Elite strap on one headset I've got, and the other, and I explicitly avoid the one that's got the elastic headset. For some reason, it's even worse than the Go, and I don't know how you could go that far backwards. It was pretty bad on the Go. You would have thought that there was a lot of learning there, but I presume it was all to do with cost stuff. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Sam, and clarifying that.
Anyway,
awesome.
I'm happy to shut up and kick me back.
I'm going to put you back in the audience now, but I really appreciate your input there. That's cool. Well, there you go. So, yes, cheers to Sam for joining us there. Thanks, Sam. Right, where were we? There's a question that I always ask, and we haven't asked it yet. How did you get into VR, Kyle?
Well, I just put the headset on. No, I'm kidding. So my first VR experience was in 1996 at Epcot in Disney World, and I did a virtuality experience. I believe it was Dactyl Nightmare, and I want to say I paid like $20 for 8 minutes, something like that. That was my first experience. Now I was in high school, and I had no idea what I was going to do when I grew up. I'm sorry, if I grew up. And the idea that VR, I had done it, and I didn't see VR again until well into I believe somebody at work, my job at the time, said, "Hey, look, there's this new VR thing. I thought you might be interested," and sent me a link to the Oculus Kickstarter. That is what brought me back in. So there was this huge lull in between where it was just I had seen Johnny Mnemonic, and I had seen Lawnmower Man, and I had seen that one cool episode of Murder, She Wrote. I knew about VR and that it was coming. I just didn't know what stage we were at. And so when I saw the Oculus Kickstarter, like so many other people, I said, okay, it's time. It is time. Let's do this. And that's kind of what got me back into it.
Awesome. So it was really at the start. So DK1, did you back the Kickstarter and get an DK1?
I missed the Kickstarter deadline and pre-ordered it and got it in August of whatever year that was. But yeah, I had DK1, I had DK2. I had access to the HD prototype. Shh, we're not allowed to talk about that one. And
we had to give them back.
That's what they said.
Did you have to give yours back? Oh, I see. You've got one of the tax exception ones. Sam and I had to give them back, that's for sure. They were very insistent.
I never said that I had one. I just said that I had access to one.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean,
they must have asked. I think they used the reason that they, I don't know, some reason for the dev thing and taxes or something on prototype hardware. It's quite unusual for people to add that. I mean, I think that's the only time I've ever had a recall of any equipment that I've been given from anybody, including all sorts of crazy things. So it was quite a shock when they recalled that, but they did. Fair enough. Must have had their reasons. So you put it on your head, you got the wow moment, you'd always been interested in VR. What was the first thing you recall doing?
My experiences in VR, I'm a bleeding edge kind of guy. I like technology. I like to make technology do things that it wasn't intended to do. And for me, the concept of how VR came to be in this current iteration, some kid in a trailer threw some lenses on a phone, and next thing you know, John Carmack is involved. I mean, that's pretty substantial to have that level of story to look at and go, wow, okay, so what do I need to do? And I put a lot of emphasis when I tell stories about how I got into VR. I put a lot of emphasis on the early community. I believe that the early community that surrounded this hardware and this technology really do deserve a lot of the credit for the success. I think that you can plant seeds, but if you don't water it and it's not in good soil and it doesn't get sunlight, it's not going to grow. And I feel like the early community really were the light and the dirt and the water and the fertilizer. There was a lot of fertilizer coming out of that early community. And I think it's all very valuable. And so when I reflect back on what created this and what made VR go mainstream and have the success, I really look at those folks at the very beginning whose shoulders everybody else stood on to move it forward and upwards and upwards. I mean, I really feel very strongly about that.
Yeah, I can't do anything but agree with you there. There is a club, you are definitely a member of it. There's multiple clubs. There is a club of the people that have been to every single OC, isn't there? And you've done that.
That is correct. Yes, I
have. What's that club called? Secret Society, should I say? It's not that secret. We've told everybody about it.
I didn't know that there was a name for it. Somebody said to me,
it's just all the people that have done.
Yeah, somebody came up to me and they're like, "Hey, you've been to all the OCs, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, there's
a picture."
Like, okay.
There's a picture. I've seen a picture of everybody that's been to everyone. Definitely, pretty cool. There's another one, the OG. The OG wasn't that? That one I was asked to join, but there's quite a few, I think.
I will simply say that there are plenty of groups, which you can imagine that there are groups of people who have been together from the beginning and still have maintained communication. I would imagine that those types of groups would definitely exist in this type of situation. And that's really all I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's amazing actually that the community of VR is, well, I mean, it started off great and it's not gone away. I mean, it's grown, but there are so many people that I have met personally and through, just playing VR games that I've become friends over time with. It's got silly. I would now say I've got more friends that I've met through the virtual worlds than I've got in real life. It's an amazing way of connecting people. A lot of people think that VR is the opposite and games are the opposite and they're not very sociable and get out and meet people sort of thing. But it can be incredibly sociable, especially for, explicit groups of things that you want to do. I'm a particular fan of sim racing. I've got a really good group of friends. Sim Top 5 runs well, he doesn't actually, but 31 now runs it, but every first Sunday of every month run the racing thing. I do my Phasmophobia every Wednesday, as I've discussed before. Have you got the same experience? Have you met lots of people either through gaming or that have just become super lifelong friends now?
So I did. There was a span of time where I would have been able to say all those same things, that yes, I have more friends in the metaverse than I do in real life and that sort of thing. Not so much anymore. A lot of my focus has changed away. I don't get into the social experiences as much. I'm doing more stuff, more work related, more testing, more, I don't socialize as much as I used to, and I should socialize a lot more. Nothing is odder than to see a list of influencers in the VR space and not recognize most of them, and that's on me to not know who these people are. Yeah.
I recently released Windlands on the App Lab, which was quite. I haven't done a release in ages, and this was quite a random Thursday afternoon thing. Just that's it. We're dropping it, all right, and we're going to put it out there. There was no build up or anything, and then post doing that, I realised, I need to really email all the people that I would normally email and say, oh, by the way, this has happened. You should check it out, right? And then looking at my old lists and now looking at the new influencer list and comparing them side by side, oh my, there are literally hundreds of new people streaming, doing content sharing, and I just don't, I have no radar for. Some of those small and great, I'm really excited to see them grow. I mean, it's a growing industry and they'll grow over time. And some of them old hat, been around for a long time doing things. We had GT on earlier, but Nathy and VR Oasis and those guys have been doing it for a long time now. Amazing to see that there is a lot of growth there and very cool. But I agree, now it's really hard to get a full radar of everything because it is bigger. I suppose that leads directly into state of play. What's the state of play right now? Where we're 5 years, 6 years from probably our last conversation on a podcast. Where are we today? If we could have predicted it then and gone forward, would today be what it looks like? Are you disappointed? Do you think we're in a great place? What's your opinion?
Oh, I will adamantly say I am not disappointed. As a matter of fact, and that was a perfect kind of segue, because the fact that there are so many streamers and the fact that there are so many people who are engaging and sharing, Gamertag has a TikTok with VR. I think that's an untapped resource, and that's brilliant. Whoever becomes the VR TikToker or whatever they're called, it will be successful and will do more to bring us even further. I have always said that a success in this industry will be that I wake up in the morning. I am a bespectacled individual. I wear glasses and I cannot see without them. The moment that I can wake up in the morning and put a pair of glasses on and do AR, VR, a HUD, communication, don't have to have a cell phone on my person, or maybe I do, but it's connected wirelessly, whatever. That right there is the future that I want. And every day, every announcement, every innovation that comes out, it brings us closer to that reality. And so, and now we've got, you've called your show the Metaverse Show, the idea of the metaverse. It is a very trite word, but it's doing something positive for the industry because it's a buzzword, and buzzwords are good for industry growth. And I've put metaverse in quotes. Does Room Key have a quote, air quotes thing? No, it doesn't. Metaverse, I put that in front of my name, and I made a tweet recently, and it was just metaverse, 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 hashtag metaverse. It was meant to be a joke, but at the same time, it did exactly what I thought it would do. I all of a sudden got a whole bunch of followers who also had metaverse in their profile, or they make it's a buzzword, and it's growing, and just seeing how that word, yes, I know there are people out there who are so annoyed. Oh, it's such a trite word. It's such an awful, buzz, 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 buzz. It's a good thing, folks. Let it happen. Let it happen, because then suddenly metaverse is on the cover of, whatever magazine, if people still read those. It's a big deal.
I have mixed feelings, but I did call the show the Metaverse Show, as you've kind of pointed out. I don't feel like debating it too much, really, but I can't disagree with what you're saying. I think the VR, XR, AR does not have the equivalent of the word internet. A metaverse is probably the closest to that. So it's not a bad thing.
I agree with you. The whole AR, MR, XR, PR, QR, LR, RR. I know, I get it. Those are not phrases and terms and acronyms and initialisms that are going to push the industry forward. But metaverse, absolutely will.
Yeah, and the triteness of it comes through. I mean, sometimes there's a perspective, and quite rightly, of the inaccuracies and all that. At the end of the day, it was from my knowledge of it, it was in a book, right? So it was thought up anyway. But from an accuracy point of view, the internet is more than just the word the internet, right? It's HTTP protocol and secure paths and FTP and all these other functionalities that come together to make what the internet what it is. And I think that the metaverse is a nice catch-all word, so I'll go with that for now. I think
I'm going to say that this is an evolution of phraseology and all this goofy words to take something like, remember when everything was immersive? Oh, immersive, immersion, immersive, and it worked. It actually did properly communicate the intention. Oh, it's so immersive. Oh, it's immersive. And then all of a sudden people stopped saying that because everybody was getting kind of tired of it. Now the new word is metaverse. And I wonder how many people actually understand, where that word came from, what it actually means. It doesn't really matter, because people are using it to describe anything that is virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, all of these things. And that's fine. It serves that purpose. And there are people who hate it, and there are people that are fine with it. Me personally, I just love what it's doing. I love the fact that this word is creating the buzz necessary to push us further into mainstream adoption. Because I've always said, and folks who have listened to me yak about this industry in the past know that mainstream adoption occurs, like true mainstream adoption occurs when grandma has the device. So when my grandma bought a smartphone, I'm like, okay, that's it. That means that it's mainstream. So my mom bought one, but how long is it going to take for my grandmother to buy one? And that right there will be the test. And grandma sees on the 5 o'clock news that metaverse, maybe that's what is needed to push her into getting one of the headsets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it is crossing those borders now. I was having a conversation at I know, some school event with somebody outdoors. Never met the guy before, and he just out of the blue says, "Yeah, I bought a Quest." I'm like, "Okay, let's talk about that then." And it's just, he just said, "Well, I saw it. It looked really interesting. Checked it out. What did you think?" I think it's brilliant. And wow, what? And then one of my oldest friends, who's the least tech guy that I know probably, also said, "Oh, I bought a Quest. Thought check it out. What do you do on it? Oh, I played the poker game. That's really cool. I really, it's like it really is starting to. I mean, we've always been looking for mainstream, but it really is piquing the interest of people that wouldn't normally be game players even. That's cool. Quest has broken down some barriers there, hasn't it?
It has. Well, because it works. It's just out of the box. It works. There's not a whole lot of, oh, I got to connect this or I got to do that. And there are plenty of titles, like you mentioned, the poker. How many people get a smartphone and all they do with it, they don't do their email on it. They make phone calls, they do text messages, and then they play Sudoku or poker or what's that Bejeweled, or all the stuff that I see, like people like my mom and her generation sitting in airports or at restaurants or in waiting rooms playing these games because they're very mindless. And I see the value in being able to just forget about life for a while and do something distracting that's not going to take a lot of brain power to do. There's plenty of that.
Like,
there's plenty
yeah,
of that.
just lawnmower simulator, drive a truck. It's like,
oh right, yeah.
The jet wash simulator. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of space for that. I think. I wish there were more of them myself. Just sitting there and doing something, mindless is really cool sometimes, right?
I'll throw something out here. Do you know what I wish there was more of in VR? Is what is considered to be a 4X game, like Civilization. Where is that game? Now, there's things like Tactera. E. McNeil gave us Tactera, and that's a lovely game.
Very cool.
But I want Civ in VR. Where is that? Somebody make that for me, please, if you're listening to this. Maybe Sam, after he's done clarifying all the enterprise Facebook options, he can make that game for us.
I have heard that the same request for RTS, generally, real-time versions of those things. I mean, we have had Demio recently. That's a turn-based game, pretty good, very popular. People really love it. But yeah, I agree. There is an inherent problem.
Though, yeah.
But there is an inherent problem with tabletop games, which isn't discussed that much, really. I'm a big board gamer. I know we've got a board gamer that goes to the Lewis board gamer. I don't know whether Sam runs that or not, but we've got big board gamers here. I've got a big collection. I'm very proud of my shelf of board games. They don't really translate that well to VR. There's a neck ache looking down on a board that's palpable and really isn't very comfortable. A lot of those games take a long time, and we mentioned at the start of the show, 6 hours is probably the longest. Quite a lot of those games can run multi-hour, and it's not that entertaining even looking at tiny pieces on a board in front of you. It needs, they need, all of those examples, including RTS, need some level of reimagination into VR that I think nobody's met that challenge of or done yet, really. I think trying to just shoehorn a red alert or whatever into VR is, or even the Microsoft one, I can't remember what that's called.
Age of Empires.
Age of Empires.
I have,
put that into VR. Well, yeah, it's Age of Empires in VR. That's pretty cool, but I'll just play it on the flat screen because it's too much, right? It needs some compelling reason to be in.
I have an answer as something that would make it compelling. I mean, I don't think anybody will have a problem looking down. I mean, I don't know anybody that holds their phone at eye level and looks at it straight ahead. They all look at it down. So everybody's got this Quasimodo looking hunch as they're using their phone. But no, the innovation that nobody has come up with yet is the inverted sphere. Instead of having a world where you have a globe that you look down at, put yourself inside of it, an inverted sphere. I mean, you could be looking up the whole time. You could be looking off to the left. You could rotate it so whatever you're doing is right in front of you.
I think I played I don't know. I suppose you'd describe it as Geometry Wars type game on the sphere. It's interesting, but also, and there's that one, I can't remember what it's called now, Racket NX. I want to say Racket NX. That's on a sphere. Do you mean like that?
I'm not familiar, so I wouldn't be able to compare. The idea of a Civ game on the inside of a sphere instead of on the outside of one. Yeah, I don't know. I'd
Yeah,
have
the
to see.
best. I don't know whether you remember this, but this I've got it stuck here on the screen now. But Brass Tactics is probably the best strategy game I've seen working well in VR. From the creators of Age of Empires. You ever played this one?
I have not.
Check it out. It is actually
I
really, really
will.
good. It's a lost gem, in my opinion, and I wish they'd have added more content
Do
to
you
it
know
and
what
kept it going.
the beauty of this sort of thing is that we've gotten to a point where games can come out and slip past even the most
Yeah.
keen of folks. I love that. I love that. And yes, I will absolutely check this out. And
No, if you like any type of strategy game, I mean, this is leaning towards the real time, but it is real time compared to. But this is if you like that type of thing, really, really, really good example of it for VR. Yeah. Anyway, that's really cool. Well, coming in on the end of the show, believe it or not, how can we talk for 50 minutes so easy? The time flies. Can I talk a little
we
bit
were doing another hour. Oh, I was.
No. We try and strictly keep it to an hour rather than go on for hours and hours. We will stay behind afterwards and say hello to people in the crowd. And notice Chris has joined us as well, so we can have a chat with him too. Can I talk about Upload a little bit? You Upload VR. Have you thought about changing that to Upload Metaverse? You can have that for free.
Man, that's a toughie. I don't know. I'll talk to the team about that. I'm sure they'd love that.
So you lead this, your operations manager, is that right?
That's correct. Yes. Upload is under my control.
Oh, what an awesome team. Love it, Ian. I've met Jamie lots of times. He's a really nice guy. Tell us about that. It's been around for ages now. I mean, it's probably 6 years old in its own right. And is that your day job? Do you do that every day now?
I do, yes. So Upload is a wonderful group of people who are trying to bring the news in the most in the best way possible, making sure we get all of the hot news stuff and not focus too much on the gossipy, rumory stuff. Let's keep it legit. Journalistic integrity is very important to us. You mentioned Jamie, Ian. We've got David Heaney. We've got Harry. We've got Xena. We've got this core group of folks who are each doing, we're firing on all pistons. Everybody's got their stuff that they're good at and that they're doing. And, we've been growing our offerings in terms of YouTube videos and podcasts, such as this one. And we do live shows on Mondays and Thursdays, and we kind of intersperse other things in between. Just everything that we can do to bring you the latest news, reviews, comments, and interviews. That's what I say about our show, the VR Download that I do on Mondays with Ian, and sometimes Heaney as well. We love this industry. We're embedded into it. We are consumers and fans, as well as having our day job be reporting on it and bringing the industry as much stuff as we can. It's a wonderful little setup to have, to love the industry that you're reporting on and that you're dealing with. And going from doing my podcast, the Rev VR Podcast, to being a developer in the enterprise world and then jumping into this role, I feel very, #blessed, teehee, I don't know, but I do feel like it's been a fun ride, roller coaster of ups and downs. But yeah, it's been really cool to grow with this industry, I guess is the right way to put it.
Yeah, I certainly value Upload. I mentioned that we just released Winlands. I'm shamelessly plugging this now. Winlands on the Quest. You guys picked it up in minutes, like literally minutes. I've no idea where you even picked it up from. It was either from somebody spotting it, and then, but yeah, minutes. It was like I didn't even need to email you. Jamie was on the ball. He reached out immediately and said, "Oh, but this has been done. Can you tell us about this?" It's like, okay, geez. Obviously, really good at what you do because you're not only picking up the news really quickly. All the articles are interesting and insightful, really. So well done there. Is there anything you wish Upload was? Go on, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that the passion and the enthusiasm that we have for the industry, and to your point, it's somebody on the team knew it was there the moment it showed up. That's because we have that passion. It's not about, yes, obviously we are a business and we need your clicks and we need your likes and we need your shares and we need all that stuff because, if you'd like this kind of quality programming to continue, we do need your support. It's like a PBS marathon or telethon. I do think, though, that I've always been a big fan of a rising tide raises all ships. And so our success means the success of the developers and the games that we talk about and the companies that are building new stuff that we talk about and the other outlets as well, including all of the YouTubers and the quote unquote influencers. Everybody benefits from everybody's success. And I'm not very cutthroat. I have a good rapport with our competitors, if you want to call it that, our contemporaries. I do really enjoy what Upload offers to the community and to the industry, and I love the support that we get and the fandom. A lot of fun comments from people.
Well, I certainly appreciate you. Well done for this. Do you mind me probing into insight there? Obviously, Upload's been around for a long period of time. What's the growth in the industry really truly look like? And give us percentages. If we were on 10% 5 years ago, where are we now?
If I looked at our growth in the last 2 years has doubled in terms of viewership. We measure, a million plus a month. Hits, it's easy. It might even be more than that. I don't know. It fluctuates. Like I said, we're kind of in a lull right now in terms of enthusiasm. But yes, there have been times, last year's holiday season, we saw exponential, exciting growth in our readership and our viewership on all of our different channels and offering. So yeah, I would say that the growth is still exciting and but there's plenty of room for more growth as well. I mean, as much as I love what we've grown Upload to be and where it's grown naturally, I do still think that there's more room, and who knows, who knows what'll happen when Connect, whatever number we're up to, comes in October, and the holiday season after that, it could be very exciting for us.
Yeah, well, Zuckerberg used a magic number, didn't he? Of was it 10 million active headsets? I think he means active, not sold. But again, from memory, do you think we're getting there? When do you see that bridge being crossed?
I'm trying really hard not to give exact numbers to you as an answer because that's just the political way to answer something. But
it's 5,328 on it. 29, 30.
I personally believe that 10 million is an acceptable number to focus on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they must be close. I mean, they may even be announcing that October and saying, we've just done our 10 million headset. I mean, they've got to be over 5 now. Pretty amazing, really, that they've
I think it's safe. I think it's safe to assume over 5. I do, personally. Yeah. I'm not saying that lightly. I think it's safe to assume. Did they hit 10? Don't know.
Maybe. Last push just before October, and they might just cross that bridge. No, it's pretty exciting. And then, obviously, there's new stuff coming out. I'd love to talk to you about that. PSVR, obviously, you cover all VR, not just Quest. PSVR 2's on its way. Excited about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Starting to hear
Yeah.
any rumors behind the scenes of content and various titles that you can't talk about?
Well, I hear rumors and I hear gossip and I know stuff and I hear and see things. I won't report on it until it's news. So it's yeah, but there's a lot of enthusiasm, and that always leads to really fun, exciting things.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for that as well. Do you think Valve are going to make a wireless headset to compete with the Quest? Well, probably twice the cost, but do you think they're going to do that?
It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what they think. And I guess it's up to them to decide whether or not they want to spend the time, money, and resources on competing with an established product, or should they push all of those resources to something innovative? I guess that's their decision to make.
Are we seeing enough? I mean, we've said there's a lot of titles now, right? I mean, exponentially more titles to play and quite a lot of superstar games there. Are we seeing enough superstar games coming through?
That's subjective. It's relative. I don't. I mean, like I said before, there's a gajillion people playing Bejeweled, and there's Minesweeper is still a game. So I don't know if you're talking about big triple A games. Has there been enough? I think the industry and the community would say no. I personally am a big fan of filling the market with not AAA games, but things that are enjoyable and smaller nuggets. I think that mainstream adoption requires more 30-minute and an hour and 2 hour games. I also think that the rhythm games are very important. And, like go play Smash Drums for a little while. It's a wonderful game to just get your mind off of things and put out some, blow off some steam. Go do those kind of things. But AAA games, I think since it takes so long to make them well, that we're going to see more of them further down the road.
I'm fully expecting any minute, any day, completely randomly for Steam to show a next VR game. I'm just fully expecting it. I just don't know when. I mean, they've said they're working on multiple. Clearly, the team, judging from the documentaries and stuff, are really excited about VR and actually just beginning to think about their stride. Must be happening. Quite exciting.
I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, time will tell.
And obviously, at some point, Facebook diverted their resources into more AAA things. That's been a bit of a mixed bag, hasn't it? I mean, the I can't remember what it's called now. The Fighting War one wasn't really well received compared to what we thought when we first heard that. The guys who made Titanfall and those, I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know if I guess I just keep looking at it and going, okay, if you want a AAA game to be, hurried up and quickly assembled with duct tape and hot glue and solder and just kind of throw something out just to say it's out there, that's one thing. But to actually do it right and to do it well and to make something that's worthy of the type of attention that a AAA game would need or want to be successful, you really need to put a lot of time and money and effort into it. And something like that, I mean, Half-Life Alyx blew my mind. I mean, they had to have been working on that for so long before it even got onto a headset that I can't imagine another one of those types of games coming out without having that same level of background of development. So there could be, stealth mode stuff that might be coming out next week, next month, next year, but it's going to have that same story of, wow, we've been working on this for a long, long time, really tweaking all the things. So that way when it comes out, it's successful. Look at how many, you could go to like Saints Row games and things like that. They have such huge budgets. Who has that type of money to put onto something and made that decision 3 years ago to start a game like that with that amount of budget? I mean, that would have been very daring, very bold for somebody, which, I mean, obviously Valve did, but I wonder.
Probably paid
I
off.
wonder what's
They
out
make
there.
their money back. Definitely
Oh, yeah,
made their money back.
Right. But it would have been a gamble to start something like that 3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, given that the reception's pretty good for AAA and that people can make good money off it, I mean, I think it is fundamentally not as good money as the 2D yet. Right? That's the big jump, isn't it? Which is interesting.
Let me ask you this question. What is a AAA game on the iPhone?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow. I mean, Among Us? It's not even a AAA. It depends what you mean by AAA. You mean very, very high quality.
Right. It's something to think about, though. I mean, how many people 3 years ago or even 2 years ago thought that the VR scene was never going to be anything more than a cell phone on your face? I mean, the logic, the gamble, the risk necessary to start a AAA game in enough time for it to come out now. Valve did it. I don't know who else has.
Yes,
so
agreed. But Sony basically saying that they want to, or at least the rumor thing that I read was saying that they want to do hybrid. Thoughts there?
I love hybrid. I love the idea of hybrid. I want people to have the choice to sit on the couch and play. There's been so many. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty strong and clear strategy for Sony. Get their AAA people, whatever they are. You know, let's take some examples. But not Grand Theft Auto. That is a good example. Let's use that. But Gran Turismo, for instance, right? About to come out with the PlayStation 5 version of Gran Turismo. Sony actively support, encourage, work with them to implement VR properly, right? And if they do their job right and get, you know, whatever, again, lots of rumors here, but that you've seen, you know, they get it so that AAA quality games can run inside the headset as well as they run on the platform, then why not? I mean, a new Wipeout, yes, please. 2D, 3D, all the, you know, things like Ratchet and Clank, why not put VR mode on that? But things like, you know, just for all their content, everything that they could get working in VR as well, good move. Will it make a difference? Will that change the industry? Will people play the 2D version and think, do you know what, I'm sort of missing out on the VR version of this? Because, I mean, I'm super sad that they didn't bring out the latest Resident Evil with VR support. And maybe this is the ticket. You know, PSVR 2 comes out, they add VR support to Resident Evil. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I would love for the opportunity to be able to try any game in VR. And if I choose to, but that is a huge ask for the developers, and I know it's absurd to say, because developing for VR, you have to spend more time on the stuff that you can kind of hide in a screener 2D mode. I would love, though, for there to be more evolution of this game. I can develop it and you can play it in 2D, but if you want it in VR as well, here it is.
I think, I mean, as a dev, I've got mixed feelings about this. I think things are a lot better than they've ever been, right? And, you know, on the horizon, like really short term away, we're going to move to OpenXR as a format, right? So I presume PlayStation will be doing the same, right? So we only write once for OpenXR. You know, the platforms can switch between 2D and VR. Yes, there's a lot of work to do to get VR right, but again, a lot of that is now to the point where I would describe it as mature. You know, you need snap turning and smooth. You need you know, it's all pretty much, you know, from a starting block, you've got to do these things to make VR work well. If they can crack that, the biggest problem fundamentally is optimizing for VR. But again, if they can crack that through clever foveated rendering or through, you know, optics that whatever, you know, they managed to siphon that horsepower and make it work through upscaling, you know, all these technologies now that do automatic upscaling, like full screen, lower resolution upscaling. You can't tell the difference because it's all AI upscaled. It could all be done, I think, and it's a shame. And there are lots of examples of games that are really, really good in 2D, like Resident Evil is a good example, and amazing in VR as well. And I think that it's not quite as challenging as it used to be. And I really hope that more and more tools help that seed happen, because I am probably now, I mean, Phasmophobia is a good example. It's got VR mode and 2D mode. Yes, there's extra work involved in there, but it's a whole new audience, and frankly, it's light and day for me. I would never play in the 2D mode, and I think that hybrid actually might be the answer to AAA content.
The beauty of this conversation, this specific topic, is that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so this whole concept of developers don't want to do both because it's hard, and it's hard because there's a performance issue, and there's we're going to get better just naturally as the hardware accelerates and the software gets more performant. So it'll just happen naturally. But what can we do to push it now is really what this part of the conversation is about. As a developer, you won't have these issues. You'll just be able to click a button, like you said, OpenXR adoption, and that evolution you can play it in 2D, you can play it in VR, and there's no performance difference because it's already optimized. That'll just happen naturally. I mean, I watch people play Doom on a Texas Instruments calculator. That would have blown my mind in 1994. So that's something that can happen now. Cool. It's just a matter of when.
It's super exciting to see what's coming. Right, I think we've ran over a little bit, Kyle. Clearly, we've got a lot to talk about, and it's been really absolute pleasure to have you on the show and do this back to front instead of you being the host. Thank you for coming today. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I loved it. It's wonderful to be on this side. Thank you. To be on this side of the table and not be the interviewer. I look forward, since I had you on my podcast twice, I believe, possibly 3. I'll have to double check. I fully anticipate that a round 2 of this will occur down the road at some point.
I'm super excited about that day. Well, that's it for the show. Thank you, Carl, for joining us. And how can people find you, Carl?
Well, you can find me on all sorts of different places. Go to UploadVR.com for all your news, reviews, comments, and interviews. Go to YouTube and search for UploadVR. I am on the Twitters as Metaverse Kyle. Reverend KJR is my Twitter handle. You can also find me on MySpace and Friendster, but I'm not going to give you the information. You have to go find me there. Yeah, and other than that, I'll just be trolling around and being, guest on different people's podcasts as they come about. And as I say on the end of our show, the VR download that Upload does on Mondays live at what do we do? Noon, I think, noon Pacific on Mondays. I always say at the end that I'll see you in the future.
Well, in the metaverse at some point, and one day, hopefully, back to real life. Well, thanks for that, Carl. Yeah, and you can follow me at Hibbins on the Twitterverse. And thanks to Anthony for operating all the cameras today. Really appreciate your time there. You can find us on Roomkey, YouTube, and your favourite podcast provider. Subscribe and like to keep us on your radar. If you want to start to host your own shows or podcasts, head to roomkey.co. It's free and easy to get going, and automatically exports your streams for you. You can also find other shows like this one to enjoy. Thanks for joining us on the Metaverse Show. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one.